What's up, guys? It's time to talk about the disappointment that was Gotham Knights. This was WB Montreal's follow up to what I thought was actually a very good Arkham game in Arkham Origins. And while it's not set in the Arkham Origin or the Arkham universe, it's clearly uh, a spiritual successor to what they did with Origins and other games. Now, it's not a terrible game. It has some good qualities about it. I do think all four characters are unique. I think the world actually feels lived in, which is probably the first time we've gotten this in an Arkham game because I didn't feel that in uh, the last Arkham game, whose name is escaping me at this moment. You kind of feel it in City, but it's all filled with criminals. But this one kind of feels like a lived-in open world. And the starts to the story are actually strong, as the Court of Owls is like one of my favorite villains in all of Batman that just haven't been utilized yet. But that's where one of the first big disappointments comes in, because about two-thirds through the game, they kind of, I wouldn't say drop, but like lessen the importance of the Court of Owls story and just turn it into a generic Batman story. I used the quotes of Batman because obviously Batman is not in the game, even though the first scene, opening scene with Bruce as Batman is actually very strong, and Batman's elements are felt throughout. It uses its characters well in storytelling. I feel like the Penguin gets good moments. Detective Montoya gets good. The ties to Jim Gordon, though he is also dead by this time in the universe. It has all the setups for great story, and it's using the characters well in ways that we like until it gets to that point where it just stops caring. It also never felt like a group game to me. While all the four characters are unique, while all four are different, I wouldn't say all four are good. I'll get to that in a minute. But you never see the group aspect. As you're playing as a single character, there's moments in the story that are designed and only utilize that character's story. There's one sequence where you're almost in like a dreamscape because you're being drugged and you go through these visions of like your time with Batman, but that's linked to the character that you play as. But then later in conversations through the game, they try to make it seem like the other characters also experienced that, but they clearly did not. That was clearly, I played as Tim. It was clearly a Tim story, which I thought was great as someone that focused on one character, because the game really doesn't give you a reason to explore other characters once you find the one you're in. Like, it'd be cool if certain missions were like, oh, this would be a better mission for this character, but they all just kind of are the same no matter what. And it was a great Tim story for me after about the first quarter where I locked in on playing as Tim. But you never felt like the group aspect, which I feel for a game that advertises itself as, hey, you're Gotham Knights, you're all four of these characters, was kind of disappointing. Let's get into the different characters and how they play. Dick Grayson, he plays fine. He's more acrobatic. It wasn't really my style, but I thought that his design was well. It was clearly the aspect put in there to pounce and go around all your enemies. Tim plays just like Batman, slightly different. The combat system's slightly tweaked. I'll get in that in a minute as well. But Tim felt the most like Batman. You can upgrade his skill tree to be more tactical, be more sneaky, be Batman essentially. Take out enemies, use elemental effects. I think the elemental build up in this was very well done. In fact, there's a trophy attached to that. I'll get into trophies later as well. Barbara had a cool system where she can hack stuff. I just feel like, unlike Dick and like where they clearly set up these moments for him to be able to pounce and use his acrobatics, they did not give enough opportunities to use her special skill tree, her special set of powers. So where the idea was cool, and if they would have used it more in missions, would have been cool. It seemed like they did not design well enough for that. And then Jason, I did not like the way he played. He's more range focused, but range damage does not do near as much damage as the actual combat that they want you to use. So I didn't really feel a draw to use him. He was also big on grapples, which in a game where you have to interrogate and grapple a lot of people can be useful, but really not that great. The gameplay itself has like the shadows of Arkham. They don't want you to feel as powerful as Batman, so you're not able to dodge as much as you would like to. The sensors are a bit off. They want you to use these momentum abilities, and the momentum abilities are for the most part disappointing. Basically, I span spam 3 different ones as Tim, and those are the only 3 I use. You know, you get up to 8. Uh, the combat was okay. The more you learn, the better it got, but it was nowhere near Arkham. And that's another one of the disappointing things, as Arkham Origins, I thought, was a very good Batman Arkham game. And instead of leaning into that combat, they tried to do something new where it just made you miss the old combat. Why do I call this game a disappointment overall, though? Besides the story aspects, the collectibles are all lackluster. The side missions are mostly disappointing. There's some fun ones you can get through at the end. The time trials with the Bat Cycle are actually kind of fun, but the Bat Cycle itself is underutilized because once you get your second ability to travel and fast travel, never use the bike except for those time trials. But the biggest disappointment at all is the boss fights. Boss fights are supposed to be great things in video games, and when you have things like Elden Ring showing you what you can do there, it's like, okay, I never expect Batman to be like Elden Ring fights. But the issue is Arkham Origins has one of my favorite boss fights in all of the Arkhamverse, and probably one of my favorite boss fights against Deathstroke. So when I'm seeing these different boss battles I can do, which lead into a side missions where you fight the different villains of Gotham, what makes these side missions so disappointing and sad is the fact that at the end the boss fights all just suck. There is not a single good boss fight in this game. They're all just too overpowered health bars, long sequences take forever, even when you're powered up, for no real reason. You just learn the combos, and you just keep doing the same dodge, dodge, hit here, dodge, dodge, hit here, and then they hit for too much, and there's no, like, variety to the attacks. The boss fight doesn't change over time, and for a team that made the Deathstroke boss fight, which I thought was really cool, and the other boss fights in Arkham Origins are good, and boss fights overall in Arkham games were great, to just like leave me so disappointing. Like, I cannot recommend these villain files, which I think should have been more. There's only 3 in the game, but I can't even recommend them because of how disappointing the boss fights are. And the final boss fight at the end of the game also just disappointing. And their trick to make that one harder is to get rid of some of the different dodge symbols to know when to dodge, and it doesn't make it more fun. And that's the problem, is that a lot of the game just doesn't feel fun. It starts off with some great different villain variety. There's different factions in Gotham. They all fight different. And as you're going through, at first, the first half of the game, as you're finding these new villains, like, okay, there's some cool variety in there. But as the game gets on, it goes down, because the only way they're making these villains stronger as you're getting stronger is just to give them a higher health bar, make them hit harder, gave them a little bit of armor so you have to heavy attack sometimes. But the variety that started off so strong with these different factions that all control different, use different elements, use different weapons, all just become the same. And some of the most disappointing are the talons from the owls, as their extra forms of getting harder are just respawns. You knock them down and then they can spawn back up. So while this game isn't terrible, while it does have some strong qualities, and I really enjoyed the Tim story I got in it, I never felt like it was truly a Gotham Knights game. I feel like they wasted the Court of Owls and changed it into a generic story, and it just was the shadows of what Arkham could be. And I know it's not in the Arkham universe. I know it's trying to be its own thing. But if you're going to be your own thing, then completely redesign the combat system. Completely make good boss fights, because that's just very disappointing. Adding collectibles that have meaning. All the collectibles in this game just don't. They're all there. There's no like real tracker to them. Batarangs randomly scattered. These hidden pages, they're just a pain in the ass. Art, which is cool, but there's no real reason to collect the collectibles, which, in a game like Arkham, what you say about the Riddler trophies, say about the Riddler trophies. I love them, and there was purpose to it, and there was story behind it, that I felt no reason to do these collectibles. And it just, overall, everything together, it had moments. As a Batman fan, I can still possibly recommend it, because as someone who's, Tim is probably my favorite Robin, to have him like shine was awesome. And I assume if you play as the other characters for the story moments I mentioned, you would also get the same feeling with those characters. but you never got the growth aspect, and that's what you wanted out of Gotham Knights, and you just wanted a solid game. Overall, I'm gonna have to give this a 6 out of 10. It's just a disappointing game overall, but for huge Batman fans, you can still find something to like. For something to shut your brain off and just kind of play for a little bit. The combat system works well enough, never to the levels you want, but I don't recommend doing any of the case files or side missions, as the real prize is never worth it. All right, that's all I got for you guys. That's my take on Gotham Knights. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to do this YouTube thing again. I think the last time I posted a video on this channel was like 4 or 5 years ago. I've also rebranded the channel, new name. Check it out, share it, please. If you want me to keep doing these, let me know. I will try to get a better setup. I'm recording from a new place than I recorded before, and the light's really fucking with the video. If you notice, I even had like some wrapping paper on here to try to like block the light out, but that didn't seem to work. So I need to find a new setup. I don't think I'll be in this location long, so I won't have to lock it in that long. But yeah, I'm back, guys. I don't plan on going away. So see you guys again soon. All right, bye.